Okay, for our next step, we're going to be distressing the pages using Ranger Tim Holtz Distress Inks. These are the re-inkers. I like to use those. You can use an ink pad if that's all you have. Takes a little bit longer, and it can kind of tear up your ink pad a little bit, unless you're really careful. I'm going to be using Vintage Photo, a little bit of walnut stain, and Rusty Hinge just a tiny little bit because it's really vibrant and kind of orangey. That'll give us that nice rusty look to go with our rusty metal pieces. You can just, I have done it where I just use the Vintage Photo. It's a really good color. The walnut stain is really, really dark. I usually only just use a little bit here and there on that. Mostly I just use the Vintage Photo though. Okay, you're going to need gloves to protect your hands because it's going to be messy. Something to protect your work surface. I like to use a non-stick craft mat. Some paper towels just for spills, a heat gun, and some water. You can either take this and run it under your sink real quick just to wet the edges and then shake off the excess, or you can use a spray bottle. I'm using a spray bottle today just because it's easier to show. I'm going to really moisten these edges up really good. I'm spraying pretty close. I want those edges really moist. Another reason that using an old book works really well is because the paper is dried out and it really accepts this water and really soaks it in, and that helps you to distress your pages a lot easier. Let that set for just a second, and then I'm probably going to spray it again just to let all that water soak in good. It's nice and wet, as you can see. Okay, I'm going to take my Vintage Photo re-inker. Go all across, squeezing out just a little bit at a time and using the side of it to rub it around good. This looks a lot darker at this point than it will actually be, because once this soaks in good to all this water, it just really does a good job of kind of fading out to look really nice and old. You can kind of fan your pages and just use this to rub it around. Make sure you get the bottom. So I'm just squirting out a little bit at a time and using this to rub it around some. I'm going to get our edges really cool looking. You don't have to worry about getting it down on individual pages yet. I'll show you how we're going to fix that here in a little bit. Okay, so now we've got that. I'm going to get a little bit of the walnut stain. And you won't be able to see this very well, but I'm just going to put a little bit here and there for a little bit of variation in color. And that's all I'm going to do with that one. And with the rusty hinge, I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to put a little bit here and there. Let it soak in good. You can kind of see right here, there's a little bit of like an orangey red. I don't know if you can see that or not, but once this all soaks in, you're going to get all those different colors. So now, once I've let all this, put all the ink on, I'm going to go back through and I'm going to spray it again. And that's going to help all those just really soak in and blend really well. You can see our pages are coming along nicely. They look really nice hanging out of the edge of that book. You can use your gloved hand to really kind of work it in if you want. You can kind of fan the edges of your book and kind of rub this around. Fan it from this side and rub it around. Those are really turning out quite nice, I think. Yeah, my edges are coming out really good. Alright, so I'm going to wipe some of these pieces that have fallen off by rubbing on it. And wipe them to the side so that when I turn on my heat gun, I don't blow inked up page bits everywhere. Okay, and then hit this with a heat gun. It's a little hot. Started to burn. Okay, so keep doing that until your piece is dry. Okay, once you have your pages dry or nearly dry, I really like to make my pages really kind of chunky. So what I do, just got a message from my hubby, really kind of crumple each page, paying special attention to the edges. The inside section's not that big a deal, but just crumble them up and open them up. Don't be too rough with them, but just, you know, you're making them fluffy, really. Now, you don't want to go and do it by sections, because if you do that, then all the pages in that section are going to look the same, and they're going to stick together, and you won't get that real, you know, real thick, chunky look to it. So, you know, it takes a while. But put you some music on and watch a movie or something and just crumple each page of the book. And it's okay if you tear some of them. It's not that big a deal. This book was a little bit too old. And as you can see, when you crumple them, this is why you don't want one that has too brittle of pages, because they tend to tear and rip on you. But, you know, if you're going along and you're just being careful, go slow and it'll be fine. So. Just gonna crumple these up. Keep on going through. Now, if you're going through and you see an image in your book that you think is neat, or that you think you'd like to showcase in your book, just put a little, piece of paper in there. That way you know where it's at. Sometimes I like to use the graphics in the books. If I have a book with graphics, I like to use that page as one of my collage pages. Kind of neat. I think to use it. It's there. Why not use it, right? Part of the reason I like to use old books because they have interesting things in them, interesting images or drawings, or especially old antique textbooks. Have people's writing in them. I think that's kind of neat. Sometimes I like to use that on my collage page. It's cool. So just continue doing that to the rest of your book, and then we'll go on.